So it's now time for this week's difficult conversation. If you just tuned in, it's fast approaching 7 minutes after 5 o'clock. Now, this is a very moving story that will help people speak out against child sex abuse. Emma Jane, she's the founder of #NotMyShame campaign, set out on a mission for people to come to terms with their past feelings, feeling no shame and speaking about their sex abuse trauma. Now, as a child, Emma Jane was told that she was a failure, the girl going nowhere in life, and had a juvenile delinquent badge slapped on her when she was just 13 years old. Now, having a label like that at an early age obviously comes with its own issues, leading to most people believing that she would be dead or in prison by the time she was 20. She's got an incredible story. You won't want to miss this. But for many, the result can be mental health trauma, also child sex abuse, and things like imprisonment. Now, Emma is doing her best now to tell her story, and she's created her T-shirt campaign, which has gone viral and received tons of attention worldwide. And her goal, of course, is to make sure that child abuse victims don't suffer in silence. Well, I'm very pleased to say that Emma joins me now. And also, I'm pleased to say that I'm joined by actor, TV personality and supporter of #NotMyShame, Charlie Lawson. Now, Charlie, first of all, talk to me about your involvement with this campaign.
Well, it was really initially the courage and tremendous bravery of seeing the image of EJ with this T-shirt on. It hit me right in the kisser and reminded me that sort of 22 years ago, 3 weeks into my relationship with Debbie, my darling wife-to-be, there was a meltdown one night, and Debbie told me that she'd been severely abused as a child. And we both had to learn to deal with that, and have done so very quietly, but not ashamedly, publicly, if we chose to. And I'm delighted to say that Debbie is in a considerably better place than she was. Anyway, I saw EJ, and I'm a great admirer of courage, as you know, Nana. And so I made contact with her and just said, look, if there's anything a hairy-arsed old Irishman can do to help you, then please feel free to use me. And we've become sort of friends. And it's extraordinary, really, the amount of men now that are talking about their abuse as kids. I came close on 2 occasions, but I got away with it by the skin of my teeth. So I'm here to support EJ. I think she's doing an incredible job. It's gone viral around the world. And do you know what? I was in the pub the other night, Nana, and somebody I'd known for 22 years spoke to me about this campaign and admitted he had been sexually abused as a young boy. So it's all around us. And, if we can encourage people to feel that it's not their shame and to talk about it and come together with all the rest of the sufferers worldwide, then I think EJ will have done an incredibly good job. It's a subject that nobody likes to talk about. It's a very difficult conversation. And quite frankly, most countries in the world would rather sweep it under the bleeding carpet.
Well, listen, Charlie, it's always really good to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm now going to introduce the fabulous Emma Jane, Not My Shame campaign founder, Emma Jane Taylor. Wow. So Charlie Lawson saw, got wind of your moving story and decided that he would lend his name to help you and support you in it. But what people would like to know is, tell me a bit about your story. Talk to me about you.
I think when I sort of go back to my story, like a lot of people who've gone through any abuse as a child, the perpetrator was known to me, and this is not unusual. Alas, why I've then gone on to start my charity, Project 9010, based on the 9010 statistic. 90% of children being sexually abused are being sexually abused by people they know, yet we only educate 10% at school, stranger danger. And it's a conversation that needs to change. I was a young girl, I was 9, and then again when I was 13 till I was 16, it was someone known to the family, and I didn't really know what was going on. Like most people, you don't really know what's going on. This is someone you know, and you're told not to really talk about it, so you don't talk about it. I was told to scream and shout if anyone I didn't know came up to me and tried to put me in a van, but no one told me to do that with someone I know. And the fallout from that into my late teens, early 20s was that, obviously when your brain starts to develop, some people will say it's not until your late teens, early 20s until your brain fully developed. And then the trauma catches up with you. You start realising that, that penny drops and you're really aware what's gone on, but you don't really know how to deal with it. It's dirty, it's a secret. You feel very ashamed and embarrassed by what's happened. And so you don't talk, you try and manage. For me, it was about managing various addictions, various disorders, trying to find my way as a young lady.
Is that how you sort of coped with it in a sense?
Yeah, I was drinking, taking drugs. I was just really off, really kind of went off the world for a bit and just didn't know what I was doing. Tried to conform, get a good job, try to be, everything that everyone else was being around me. But of course, I couldn't be. And so I went into therapy when I was about 23, 24. Right. I thought I'll go and have 12 weeks of therapy and then I'll be okay. But of course, it doesn't work like that. When you have got so much trauma, so much deep-rooted pain and fear and shame and embarrassment, there's a lot to undo. You can't unpack that in 12 weeks. Some people might take 12 years, some people might never get through it, and some people don't even want to talk about it. So I really felt like, as I've gone on in my healing, in my therapy, I never in a million years thought I'd be here as a campaigner. I never thought I'd speak out. I just wanted to live my best life, like so many survivors, just try to get myself to a point where I feel like I could exist, having had a lot of my childhood taken away. It was about sort of unpacking that. I had a delayed onset of maturity, so I had to catch up with myself. And so that's how I sort of, proceeded through those years. And then sort of into my late 30s, 40s, I thought, do you know what? I feel so much better about myself.
What about other members of your family? Were you able to talk to anybody at all?
No, I think it's too embarrassing. It's too embarrassing to talk about. And it's, I was, you think I was a 1972 baby. In the 80s, 90s, we didn't talk about this. We didn't talk about this. And it wasn't anyone's fault. It's just the way lives were. And so, obviously I have been able to speak about it again now. And, and people around me do understand much better now because obviously they saw the fallout of me as a young girl. And now as an adult, they can really see why I want to do this and why I want to make a difference.
So what about, and obviously you're not going to name anybody or anything like that, but the person who abused you, has this been exposed at all or anything, or have you kept it to yourself?
No, I think like a lot of survivors, it was one of those moments that it's scary when you're in your late teens, 20s, talking about this subject and, what do you do next? And of course, as a 50-year-old woman, I would absolutely stand up and expose that person. But as a 20-year-old, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And so I didn't.
So that person has not got off scot-free, but no one really knows who this person is. And there's nothing you can... I suppose, in a sense, there's not really much you can do about it. Once you've exposed it, then what?
Yes, exactly. And I think, now I'm at the point where I've got to just say, I can help other people maybe get to that point where they can disclose and where they can, report the perpetrator and feel confident to do so, because I shouldn't have not felt confident. I shouldn't have felt shameful. I shouldn't have felt embarrassed or silenced because it wasn't my shame.
Well, that's the tough thing is then to have to live with the fact that that person has not got their comeuppance.
Absolutely.
But your way of dealing with it will be to make sure that others get their comeuppance. So talk to me about your campaign then that does just that.
Yeah, not my shame. So about 2 or 3 years ago, when I was sort of going through lots of my own development as a campaigner, as an advocate, I was sort of swirling around this conversation. Quite often in the media, we hear about the perpetrators. We don't often hear about the victims. The story is often about the perpetrators. And I wanted to get behind that and say, hold on a minute. Behind those stories of victims, it's not our shame, but everyone behind those stories, and some, will be triggered. And it's like a domino effect when you see, all the high-profile cases that we've seen over the years involved in child sexual abuse. People are crumbling behind that. And I thought that just doesn't sit well with me. It's not our shame. Why should we have that fear? We were just children. So I started swirling around with that conversation. I put it onto social media about 2 or 3 years ago, and it got a lot of attention. I put it into a quote and made the slogan last year and put it onto social media. And then this year, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to get it on a T-shirt and get it out there. And I put it out on Twitter, and it went viral. And a few people who I know, survivors, were like, EJ, we want to put a T-shirt on as well. So I was like, great, if you feel comfortable too, because it's quite an in-your-face T-shirt.
Because almost in wearing it, you are admitting to having been through that.
And I have no shame about that.
No.
I have no shame.
It's not your fault.
Absolutely. So, and then I was thinking, I just cannot keep up with the demand of all these requests. So I made a shop front, and it's been seen in Australia, Canada, Dubai, New Zealand, South Africa. It's going to Pakistan next week.
So people are buying these T-shirts, and then the funds go into
charity. So what we're doing is, it made sense. You know, we're in the embryonic stages of Project 9010, which is a charity set up for the public benefit to protect, raise awareness and reduce child sexual abuse. We are developing, we are fundraising, and every little helps, right? So it was like an ecosystem: support survivors, educate children, the next generations, and give back to society. You know, because they say child sexual abuse is 1 in 20, 1 in 6, 1 in 4. I think it's like even higher, 1 in 3. You know, I see people all the time.
Well, I mean, recently the footballer came out to say that he was abused as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Very emotional interview. And
yes.
Incredible. And
incredible.
For the first time he'd actually admitted it.
And people don't want to admit it, right? But I think the more people who do come out, it really helps everyone else. And so this campaign has, I believe, taken off and helped so many people. Some people don't even want to wear it, that's fine. But having it close to them has reminded them.
Well, even buying one will help others anyway. So if people want to get hold of this T-shirt, where do they need to go? What can they do?
So go to www.notmyshame.global, and there is a range of products on there that you can wear, you can use, and but more importantly, hopefully will empower you to remind you that it's not your shame, it's not your silence. You were just a child. It's not your fault.
Well, listen, Emma Jane, it's been really good to talk to you. Very brave woman.
Thanks, Nana.
Thank you so much, Emma Jane Taylor. She's the founder of #NotMyShame. It's a campaign. It's gone viral. Please help her. Please support her. She's got a charity that will hopefully help others going through the similar trauma. Well, coming